All right, here is how you play Henry the Red. And thanks for the feedback, by the way, on the previous videos, talking about needing visual aids and stuff. I'll try to do better with that here in this video. I got a few visual aids to give you. And I want to break it up into 6 different categories whenever I'm talking about a new character. The first is their abilities. The second is which perks to take and why. The third is their pink F upgrades, which I'll actually show you that using the tutorial in game. And then which guns to use, which weapons to use, and the 6th and final thing is, you know, how to actually play them in game. So to start, Henry the Red's abilities here, let's go over them. This is his best ability, which is his activation, which you hit Q, and for 7 seconds you're invincible. Now, one thing I want to, well, I'll get into that when we get to that ability, but this is really good because you also don't need to have any animation for it. There's no animation when you hit Q. So what you could do is, as you're attacking someone, and I have a clip of this in a bit, as you're attacking someone, say they spawn in a boss, you could start wailing on them, and then when you see the boss wind up to hit you, you can hit Q and time it so that the moment that the enemy is making impact, you activate your ability and you get the maximum amount of value out of it. So that's something that's important to remember, and having 7 seconds to just wail on a guy without taking any damage is crazy. And then this is not that good. I mean, you start with an additional shield bar. That's cool, I guess. Henry gets more shield bars than anybody else in the game. I think he gets 5, and that's 1 more than anyone else could get. I'm not sure if maybe like Arthur could get 5. I don't think so, but I'd have to double check on that. So that's cool. I don't think it makes a huge difference. It's kind of a meh ability, to be honest. Rebound is 30% damage reflected back at their attacker. That's really good for obvious reasons. The reason you may not know why this is so good is that it combos with Unstoppable. So you might think to yourself, well, if you're not taking any damage because you have Unstoppable activated, then you can't reflect any back, but that's not the case. So if you have Unstoppable activated, any damage it would do, it reflects 30% of that back at whoever's attacking you. So that's crazy. So let's say one of the trends I'm seeing now from demon players is to not possess the boss unit. So if they throw a boss unit out there, you can hit Q and the boss is just going to keep wailing on you while your Q is up, and they're just going to take 30% damage reflected. So it's really good when used in combination with Unstoppable. And even when you don't have Unstoppable, it's nice to just reflect a little bit of damage back at enemies. And then his last one is 10% health and shield bar increase. That's not great for a level 25. I mean, cool. The 10% shield bar length increase is pretty good because I believe that applies to each bar rather than just his entire, shield. So that's pretty decent. The 10% health is kind of whatever. It does make him a little bit tankier, which is nice. It's not bad, but it doesn't wow you like some of the other level 25 abilities. As far as his perks go, there's 2 ways you could build him, and you can't really go wrong either way. You can either build him as a pure tank and take all of this stuff up here, go and take increased max health, reinforced amulet that makes it so incoming damage is reduced. You could take these things that reduce damage from basic and possessed elite units. This is possessed basic units. And it also give you quicker cooldown time on your active skill, and that's obviously going to help with your tankiness because you're going to be able to be invincible more often. Personally, I don't like making him tankier because he's already super tanky. I don't think he needs to get even tankier. What good is tankiness, in my opinion, if you can't kill anything, right? So I think the best way to build him is the way I'm building him here, which is going really hard into his melee. And what I did is I took last hit of your combo deals increased damage. 50% damage is kind of insane depending on the weapon. You'll see in this clip I'm going to show in a second that I used a sword, and the last hit of a sword does a lot of damage, and 50% increase is crazy. He's also really good at using a hunter's knife, and you're going to get the last combo on that quite a bit. Increasing melee weapon damage, that's standard. Increasing dismemberment damage of melee weapons. He loves anything that is like sharp. Same with this. Increases dismemberment damage of sharp weapons. You want to find sharp weapons, swords, hunter knives, axes. Those are all really good on him. And increased damage with light melee attacks. Same thing. You pretty much never want a heavy attack with any character in this game, with the exception of, I believe, Scotty and Ash versus Evil Dead, or sorry, Evil Dead 1 Ash, because they have abilities that give you a bonus to heavy attacks. Otherwise, heavy attacks are not good. Tougher than hell, 10% damage reduction. Adds a little bit of tankiness to him, but mostly I wanted to get down here to get fighting shape, which is, if at level 3 it's at 95% health or above, he does 15% extra damage, and that's just a flat bonus. Very good, because you should always be at 95% health and above with how many shields he gets and how tanky in general he is. And so I have 4 skill points left over, and I'm going to spend them right here on Reinforced Amulet, which, you know, he's going to be doing a ton of damage, and this will make him just a little bit more tanky, because there's not really, you know, anything else you could take, in my opinion, that helps him as far as melee. We'll go over some of these other choices in a second, but 12% damage reduction also means that it's going to be harder for the enemy to get through your shields, which means it's going to be harder for them to cut into your health, which means you're going to have fighting shape active at all times. So that's why I want to take that. So it's also really clean, because now you've got max points in every perk that you have selected, if I put my last 4 in this. Looking at some of these other ones, I'd say if you're going to go tankiness, reduced stamina cost of dodging is okay. He has really bad stamina. That's his main drawback, that and fear. So you can't go wrong with that. Maximum health, obviously, if you're going tanky, that's a must-have. Increasing the length of your shield bars, must-have if you're going tanky. Reduced amount of fear, like I said, his fear is not good, so that's great on him as well. You couldn't, I would say that if you're going pure tank, I would take all of this, personally. Like, you could probably take all of this and then come down here and take this, and you're going to make him as tanky as possible. I wouldn't take these two, because players just don't possess people that often, and 13% damage reduction against a unit that people aren't going to be possessing very much anyway is just, I don't know, it doesn't seem helpful enough. Down here, reduced damage taken from boss units. I don't think you really want this, because for the same reason as what I just said, and also it's in the like melee skill tree. Oh, actually, no, it isn't. Isn't that weird? Look at that. It actually stretches out down here. Okay, well, either way, I don't think you want to take it. It's too far down the skill tree. Increases dismemberment, the balance bar damage from melee attacks. I would consider taking this on my build that I have right now. It's possible you want to take this. I'll need to do more testing. It's possible you want to take this over Reinforced Amulet. But like I said, I'll have to check. Balance bar damage is kind of like not as valuable on him as somebody like AOD Ash, because AOD Ash wants to use a ton of finishers. Henry the Red really doesn't. Blunt force trauma, balance bar damage from blunt weapons. You don't really want to be using blunt weapons, so you don't want that. Increased damage with heavy melee. You don't want that, because heavy melee sucks. Second wind. You shouldn't ever be at low health, so I don't think you should ever really take second wind on any character. Yes, it has a 5% extra damage bonus compared to fighting shape. It gives 20% damage boost if you're 50% health or lower, compared to 15 if you're above 95. You don't want to stay at low health for most of the match, so I wouldn't take that. Increased balance bar damage from heavy melee attacks. Again, you pretty much never want a heavy melee. Increased damage dealt by one-handed melee weapons. That's good. So is you know, increased damage dealt by two-handed weapons, but the problem is you don't want both. You want one or the other. So if you're going to take one or the other, you want to take one-handed, because you don't want to have to go into one-handed to get to the two-handed, because now you just wasted 3 points on, or 1 point on this. And you have to go through and waste a point on this to get to these two, and you never really want to use heavy melee attacks, so I wouldn't do that either. So yeah, that's how I would build it perk wise. For his pink F upgrades, collection, that's not where I want to go. Let's go to tutorial and I'll show you in game his pink F upgrades. I think that what you want to take with him is shields first. I've thought a lot about it. It's between shields and melee. I just think that for the warrior class, the shield upgrade is so crazy that you have to take it first. So if you look at this, the shield upgrade is... All right, calm down, Raymond Noby. Shield bars go from 2 to 3, plus 2, plus 3, 15% shield per bar. And the last one, which is why it's so crazy, is 1 amulet fills 2 shield bars. I think you upgrade this first, and then you go ahead and start, you know, using amulets on him so you can get his shields up really fast. That's going to make him way tankier. And it's also going to make sure that you stay above 95% health to get that melee bonus. After that, I would definitely go in and use your points on melee. That's his whole focus, right? He wants to be tanky and he wants to deal a lot of damage. So I would definitely do that. Shield first, melee second. 20% melee damage is crazy. 20% attack speed is crazy. You don't need melee as much in the beginning, which is another reason why I think you should go shield first, because you're not going to be getting attacked by as many units in the beginning of the game. You're mostly just going to be looting without being bothered by the demon. After that, the last one you want to take is range, because he doesn't really care about range damage at all. Between these, you can kind of take whatever you want. His stamina is really bad, but because he can protect himself and is so tanky, I don't think you need stamina right away, in my opinion. You could take more health, but that's something, again, that I don't think you need as much until late game, because you've already got your shields upgraded. I would say I would take fear third. 20% fear reduction is really good, and his fear is really bad. He goes crazy quite often, so I would probably take fear next. Then I think I would take health. And then after that, I would take stamina and then ranged. So I would probably start with shield, then upgrade melee, take that 20% fear reduction, take the 200 max health just to make him even tankier. Because I think if you're looting right, by the time you start upgrading this, you should be at the pages and the dagger step. And then you're going to need that health because you're going to be fighting a lot. And then you could take the stamina, which... You know, 20% stamina cost reduction is just good, but it's not a must-have because, you know, he's tanky and can protect himself. And then ranged last, because he's not going to be using ranged weapons. He doesn't have any perks to give him bonuses to it, and these upgrades are terrible anyway. Like 0 to 3% and then plus 7%. Like, that's nothing. So yeah, I would go shield, melee, fear, health, stamina, ranged. That's what I would do. All right, here's your visual aid. Here's me playing right here. As far as weapons go, I would say you always want to look for something sharp. So hunting dagger is really good. It's probably your top priority. One of the things I should say for this game is you almost always want to prioritize rarity. Like a rarer weapon does enough of a damage increase that you want to take that instead. So like I had a white hunter's knife in this match, and then I think I eventually picked up the purple sword because the purple sword is such an insane damage increase. You have to take it. So you're looking for sharp weapons with him. You're looking for a sword, an axe, a hunting knife. The only thing I would say don't take it is the cleaver. Like the cleaver is really bad even for a sharp weapon. If you can't get a sharp weapon, then you probably want to do like a sledgehammer. I think a baseball bat is really good too. Yeah, so focus on those. As far as ranged weapons go, like I said, doesn't matter, so I'm kind of glossing over that. Your ranged weapon is going to depend on the demon more often than not. If you're playing against Necromancer, you definitely want something with range. Don't pick up a shotgun, because the only thing you're going to be using ranged for is to snipe the flautist. You want to snipe him and get him out as quickly as you can. Outside of that, it really doesn't matter. As far as gameplay, you can see here while I'm killing all these people that you don't really want to use finishers. He's kind of the opposite of AOD Ash. He doesn't get any benefit from finishers because he's going so ham on his damage while Elagos goes to his planet. His planet needs him. You don't want to use finishers. I think it lowers his DPS. You pretty much just want to run around swinging his sword. The only time you should use finishers is if you need it to get those iframes so that you could protect yourself. But again, he's really tanky, so you may not need that. I would just say swing away, George. At the end of this match, I think I wound up having 40k damage, and we died before the last step, so I probably would have had 50k plus if we had actually reached the book. So yeah, that's what you want to do, is just run around, swing away. Don't really want to use finishers unless you need to protect yourself. But yeah, that is basically it on how you want to play Henry the Red in Evil Dead the game.